So when we were at my younger sister, so the fourth daughter's college graduation, which was at James Madison University, we were all together. Janet had just graduated. She'd gotten her diploma. We were gathering together, and we wanted to take pictures of everyone together. And we couldn't find our dad. So somebody told me, oh, you go find Daddy. So I went looking around. I went through the, gymnasium, and I walked outside. I couldn't find him anywhere, and I saw him standing by himself, kind of looking down. James Madison is in the mountains, and so he was kind of looking out at it was a beautiful day, looking out at all the mountains with his back turned to everyone else, just kind of looking out. And I said, oh, okay, I found him. So I walk over, and I said, Daddy, it's time to take pictures. And he turned around, and he had tears in his eyes, and I was asking him why he was crying. And he said, well, all my girls made it. The last one just graduated from college, so we made it. And he was just so overcome with emotion and gratitude, and just after all the hard work, that all his daughters had gone through college and did well. And I think he was just really, really happy and deeply moved by that experience, and everything that he'd gone through was worth it to him. So it was a great, great moment, and I'll never forget it.
Hi, I'm Anne. I'm oldest of the four Shin sisters. I immigrated to this country when I was 9 years old. That was back in 1973.
Hi, I'm Frances. I'm the second oldest of the Shin sisters, and I was 7 years old when we immigrated to the United States.
So my name is Blythe Hilton. I'm the third of the four girls, and I came to the United States when I was 4 years old. I'm Janet Wen. I'm the youngest of the four Shin sisters, and I immigrated to the United States when I was 2.
What was your reason for immigration to America?
Daddy really wanted to come here, right? He was the catalyst.
Yeah, his career as a journalist was.
And he wanted freedom to write what he wanted to write.
He didn't really have much freedom to write. No, I think one of the things that Daddy really liked about this country was the democracy, the political system. Back then, you have to remember there was communism. This was in 1973 when we immigrated. There was a dictator in power in Korea. A lot of Asia was under communist rule. And communism was a pretty huge threat still back then. And I think he believed that democracy was really the way to go, the way of the future, and he really loved what I think America represented, all the values.
And I think he thought that we could have our dreams fulfilled if we moved here versus staying in Korea.
And what were some of your biggest hardships during your immigration?
The part that I need to explain that was our dad was here first. He came in 1972. And then he was kind of trying to get established before we could come. And so when we got off at Dulles Airport and got to the apartment unit, there was a message for us that our dad had put up there, which was something to the effect of, in this land, this beautiful land of opportunity, may you all thrive and be successful.
I just wanted to learn English right away because I did not want to be different. I didn't like that we were different. I wanted to blend right in. And I think that's pretty characteristic of most kids. They don't want to stand out. They don't want to be looked at differently, or, it was already hard, the change, so I just wanted to fit in and, be like everybody else. I didn't want to be different, so I couldn't learn English fast enough. I didn't want to speak Korean anymore.
As a first-generation immigrant, you pay a huge price.
Yeah.
Right,
You need to
I
expand
understand that.
Right.
In terms of language, like my parents, they could never assimilate because they had their accent and they had to work, so they didn't have time to try to learn the language, nor are you able to pick up a new language just like that. And even if you pick up the vocabulary, you don't necessarily pick up the accent.
Nuance, yeah,
And so they always felt like they were outsiders trying to make it. And also you think about the job prospects, you know, that reduces the number of jobs you can get right there, your language barrier.
Right.
So they could only get like, you know, like my mom would be a waitress, minimum wage jobs. Dad took a job as a data processor without much training, you know, and he did it, he worked the graveyard shift so that he could not have people around, so he could try to teach himself this, how to run batch jobs, you know,
and
so.
he was a custodian.
Yeah, he was a
At the church.
custodian, a janitor, so all these menial jobs to try to make ends meet.
A one-bedroom apartment, we all slept in the living room on the floor, and the parents had the bedroom. We didn't have money. That was always the big thing, but no money. And you know, it was
Right.
so stressful when the car broke down. And Daddy would be just so
You know,
upset.
Flintstone car.
You see Daddy just, you know, just so upset
So
and
stressed
so stressed
out. He
out
was so
about how am I gonna
stressed
get the car fixed, and you know,
He would
and-
change his own oil.
Right, I
and
mean, it would be
greasy and-
so just stressful. I just remember the stress of any little thing happening that would cause financial burden.
So what is your definition of the American dream?
Well, I think it's having first and foremost, having the freedom to do whatever you want. You know, everybody makes different choices in life, and you know, we've all made similar choices, and that family is important to us. But I think ultimately, it's you know, being able to see my children grow up and choose what they want to do, and you know, be free to explore and to do whatever it is that they choose to do.
What is the most precious thing you feel you received through your immigration?
Well, I just feel like now that I'm older and my dad has passed and my mom's sick, and I kind of can see as a parent how hard it is to be a parent, and that the significance of the sacrifice. Like if I think about going to another country, trying to learn the language, trying to make a living, trying to raise my kids, I can't conceive it, you know. So I just, you know, like the hardship you feel, it was a hardship for everybody, but I kind of, philosophically, I feel like the first generation immigrant sacrifices themselves. Well, not only in the neighborhood, but also during that time. It was in the 70s. And so there weren't a lot of immigrants.
Right.
There weren't
Oh,
any
gosh.
immigrants really, and we were probably the first Asian immigrants that
Remember how Daddy
first
would take us
Asians
places?
people would have seen. So it's not like now. Right now, there's so
Right,
many
it's
different
very,
kinds of
very
people.
different. For me, what I appreciate the most is I think we appreciate more what we have.
That's true. What I appreciate is the closeness with my sisters. Is we have this common thing that no one else will have.
I remember thinking how wonderful it was that they even just tried to be Santa.
I
Like, we
know,
didn't have
I
any
know.
money, but they would buy us presents.
And then Johnny and I would wrap up things around the house. You guys are the examples. You have to be a good example for your little sisters. You have to. That was like drilled into.
It
your
was
head.
a lot of
Sure.
pressure.
Yeah. So
But I
that-
still remember the birthday parties you guys put on for us, and I still remember finding out you guys were Santa.
everyone, I think, aspires to have the kind of closeness that we have, and I don't think a lot of people do. So it's unique, I think.
You had asked me about one of the hardships of growing up here as an immigrant in the United States. So I thought I might read you a poem that I wrote. It's called Little Grown Up. Never occurred to me that our family was unusual, but when I went to a classmate's house, her basement was packed with toys. No room to move about in a room full of delight. No siblings needing a bath, no house to clean, nor laundry to take to the machine with slots for coins. Little tutor of scrawny, wide-eyed kids wearing second-hand clothing. What can I teach them when what they really need is a mother and a father? The phone rings. She asks me if my mother is home. I am the mother. Little grown-up.
Fortunately, this immigrant story is one with a happy ending. Janet, the youngest of the Shin sisters, married Apollo Nguyen, and they have 3 girls named Haley, Carly, and Ella. Blythe, the 3rd oldest of the Shin sisters, married Ian Hilton, and they have 2 boys named Eric and Jack. Frances, the 2nd oldest of the Shin sisters, married Michael Smith, and they have 2 girls named Audrey and Rachel. Anne, the oldest of the Shin sisters, married Eric Suh, and they have 1 boy and 1 girl named Chris and Stephanie. As you can see, all 4 of the Shin sisters are thriving, and even though their dad has passed, they will always hold him in their hearts and will forever remember the sacrifices that he and his wife made in their immigration to America.